We live in the building, we live in the building. So basically, we're gonna have a little tool, a little generation wealth, you know, we trying to foresee some stuff in the future, or some people can get some money. So when they get to this older age like this, they're a little bit prepared, won't get taken off guard. And there's nothing wrong with getting a job at 70, but getting a job at 70 because you want to, not because you have to. You know, you know, starting with you, the old man, and possibly the old woman, you know, to do things for the next generation as well, so they can commit themselves to live a good life, and for their kids and their kids as well, and so forth. But basically, we're gonna get into the generational wealth talk, and with the generational wealth, you might hear my windshield wipers, in the car, but generational wealth talk, man, it's something that got to be talked about. It's something that got to be had. You know, a lot of people, like I say, is going into this whole mode of this selfish mentality. The selfish mentality in which I got mine, you need to get yours. You know, I've done this, I sacrificed this, I did this, I did that. Why can't you do the same thing? You know, and this is the big issue that we're having going into the later years. You know, you've spent all your money, and now to generations to come, you know, they're not going to reap the benefits. They're not going to keep the legacy and everything going. As far as listening to um what was it? I'm sorry, lost my thought right quick. But listening to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey noted that he's going to spend about 85% of his money and, only leave 15% to his kids, which is not bad because this guy's like major millionaire, you know. And he had a conversation with TD Jakes, and TD Jakes was explaining that, you know, if you leave your kids a lot of money, they haven't, built up anything, or kind of it's like a resistance. They haven't worked to get it. So in return, they're gonna spend it crazy, they're gonna do whatever, and they're not gonna, pretty much keep the generational wealth going because they didn't earn it. And my thing is, if your kids didn't earn it, you're supposed to make them earn it. Prime example. Shaq Diesel is one of the, greatest basketball players, and he said in order for his kids to touch his cheese, they must bring him 2 degrees. And I like that, even though to the extent he was saying that to have a bachelor's and a master's, but I can take dual major and get 2 degrees. He didn't say master's and bachelor's and master's to an extent. He said you must have 2 degrees. And then when they asked, he referenced master's, bachelor's and master's, but I would go the other way, But the thing of it is, the biggest and heaviest, thing with hitting our community, in which we have a lack of understanding when it comes to money. You know, the biggest thing is budgeting. The biggest part of dealing with money is budget. There are far in between. A lot of people do not know how to budget their money. You know, you can budget your money to at least have a minimum of $1,000 a week, and then you can budget your money to have a minimum of $10 a week. It's all about the way you budget, how you budget, and how you use your money. Prime example: there's a lady in China. She saves about 90% of her income every year, but she's married and have kids. That's a sidebar. So the husband takes the bulk of all the bills and necessary arrangement for things. She gets hand-me-down clothes from her friends. Her husband basically takes over the shopping and stuff like that, and she does the bare minimum, you know, with her money. And she has a good job. She has a marketing job. It's not like she works, some small job just making barely minimum wage. No, she has a marketing job. Her marketing job dealing with advertisement coaches people on spending money. And here she is saving 90% of her money, you know. And the reason why she used that 10% is because there's certain things that she has to buy for work, but if not, she don't spend her money. And the best thing about her doing that is they they have several houses they've bought with the extra money that was, from her income. So far as when it comes to the husband, he's real grateful that she took this approach and wanting to do this, you know. So he can focus more on the house, and she's focusing more on the long-term goals, which would be invested, you know. And that's the key thing. Like, that's my biggest thing when I talk about marriage, is telling people that my wife is the vice president. I'm the president. If anything goes wrong, my wife has to step up as acting president and assume the role. So why not have a woman that is capable of doing things, knowledgeable of doing things, and overall has your back? That's what I talk about, me being married for years, you know. And I'm gonna I'm gonna go back to the generational wealth, but the biggest thing is having someone on the team. That vice president and that president have to work together and have an understanding. You know, Even when I talk about moderators on the chat and stuff like that, and people on people's panels, those moderators should be moderating according to the wave of the channel. If the channel says that people can do certain things in the chat, that should be a gift. Now, when it comes down to it, if they say that certain things are not permitted, then that's to the like of the channel. The moderator shouldn't take it for us to say, well, I'm gonna moderate the way I want. If they don't like it, then so be it. Then once their rich get taken, then they have a problem with it, you know. So, but the big thing is that I'm trying to express when it comes down to it, working with someone for the greater good. But back to the generational wealth. When it comes down to the generational wealth, it's just plain and simple. No beating around the bush or anything. You literally have to start budgeting with the intent of faith. There's no excuses now. It is 2022. If you can't budget, there are apps for it. There are YouTube videos for it. There are websites for it. There are, you know, reports. You can actually go get a physical book. You can get an ebook. You can have a mentor that teaches you about budget. You can go into the bank. There are smaller things because they don't want you to budget too much, but there are small things that help you out for the greater good that you're going to come get a loan from them, so it benefits them. Now, the second thing is paying off debt. A lot of people accrue debt over time. The biggest debt I have is a minimum of small credit cards, not even significant over, thousands of dollars, like less than $1,500. My cars are paid off, and well, I say the house, but I mean that's a gift. Other than that, I mean just small credit card, and that's used here or there, pay them off, show my history, then I'm good. There are no substantial like medical bills, no high end things that I've purchased and put a, you know, got a loan for it or something. You know, now there is a thing when you're dealing with business, having business credit, but that's something that you can pay, minimum because you're gaining the capital by selling products or whatever the business service that you're in. But paying off debt is key. You know, how are you able to easily get a loan and easily get a credit is by paying off that debt and showing the consistency that anything that you have, you pay off regularly. And the third thing is the big thing for the generational wealth is saving. A lot of people doing the C19 realize that savings is the biggest asset to, obtaining. What if you're behind on something? You know, something is about to get cut off, the car's about to get repossessed. That rainy day money, ironically, it's raining right now, but the rainy day money, it helps. A lot of people don't realize that when it comes to, budget, saving, that's one of the key things. You don't have to spend all your money, just some of it. And I believe it's a channel I watch called Budgeting with Me. And the lady, she does a great job of breaking out the whole budget, everything that she pays, put into, calculating far as savings, if she pays over for a bill because the bill might didn't come out and the bill was under, that money goes towards savings. I got a family member that does it. His bill normally the same every month. So sometimes he gets a credit, but he still constantly pays over to the point where one time he spent so much money, he had a credit of like 200 and some dollars on the gas bill because he was always paying over, and he forgot that when he was paying over, I guess it was like the winter months, and he's using more gas. So going into the summer months, didn't really spend that much, but he was still paying over to the extent, he didn't have to pay for probably like close to 3-4 months. That's part of like a savings right there. To the point, and I'm guilty for this as well. I had a budgeting tool on my bank account that every paycheck is snatched out $25 to $50, depending on how I set it. And it got to the point I was doing good, saving a lot of money, and life happens. But the point of it was good. I actually had that money there to the side. You know, Even a lot of people don't understand. Me and my wife, we have these talks about me buying certain things, and it comes in handy. You know, there's this saw I actually bought, and I don't know the names of them, but at the point I know I got them. I know they use them pretty much, and I know. Okay, well that one was a table saw that I bought, and I was doing some work on the house, and that luckily came in handy. As far as that table saw, placing some boards on my steps, cutting some trimming, and actually making my workbench. And for the love of her, like, why did you buy this thing? I bought it on a deal, bought it from off her. She's like, you're not even going to use this thing yet. Why do you have it? And I'm like, there's a point. I was like, I'm going to actually use this at one point. Well, you're never going to use this thing to a point that I actually use it when working on my workbench, when dealing with the trimming and the steps. So it came in handy. And actually buying it on a deal, the guy barely used it. He had it to build a deck. I guess he gave me this sob story. It don't matter because as long as the thing worked and it looked pretty much brand new. It was a little dusty. He wiped it off, and like he didn't want to wipe it off till I got there to show that the only thing he had with the sawdust from doing his patio. Actually showed me it was pretty decent, nice patio. Built the patio itself because somebody was trying to charge him like $6,000 to do it, and he built the patio itself easily. It wasn't nothing that he needed for code. Well, yeah, for code to where he had to get a permit for because it was low enough to the ground. It wasn't that big, and it was just something small on there to put a table, grill over there, and have a little seating area to the side. Basic. But anyway, that was the thing. Bought it, needed. But now, when it comes down to it, that's the savings right there for me. Because if times get hard, I can sell that saw and retain money. So personal items that you're having around the house, they have several apps for that. So long as you have something that somebody wants, you technically have a savings in the house and don't even know it. It's always best to save cash yourself, as far as in a bank account, safe deposit box, or safe at your house. Some people do the envelope savings. The old method is putting it up under the mattress. But the thing is, as long as you save, that's the key. And so when it comes down to it, having an understanding, saving money is the first start to having generational. The biggest thing that I always talk about if everybody comes to my channel is life insurance. Life insurance is one of the biggest things I talk about is because that's one of the easiest, fastest ways to get generational wealth. You can buy properties and all that. That takes time and money, but the basic necessity of just spending a little money for a greater gain is life insurance. And some people always come to the notion that, well, life insurance is life insurance. But if I die, how's the life insurance? If I can't accept, excuse me, I can't have access to the life insurance if I'm dead. That's where whole life comes into play. It's technically three different kinds, but there are variations to the different kinds of life insurance. So you can have term life, it only pays out when a person dies. You have whole life that you can pay out when a person dies, but also, access the money, when you've deposited certain money in there over time, that you can borrow from. Same thing with universal life. It has the same components as whole life, but with universal life, it has a caveat to it to the point where you're using it on the S&P 500. There's index life insurance, universal, and there's I want to say about 3 or 4 more variations. I haven't actually got into it, but I can always talk to Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor. Check him out on YouTube. Me and him are very close friends. We actually do some podcasts together on YouTube talking about this and on Facebook to keep people informed on life insurance. He does sell life insurance for anyone that's out here looking for life insurance to taking the next step and trying to look at weighing your options. And so I'm gonna go down the list real quick again. To kind of start the ball rolling with generational wealth, you first have to have a budget. There are all these websites that give you a budget and let you know how to actually do. And you can go on these apps. You can get a book. You can get a virtual ebook, or you can get a physical copy. All these things teach you about budget. That's the first step. Any way to create generational wealth, it starts with a budget. Because you have to save the money. You have to make the money work for you. Whether you get into any other thing, you have to have a budget. Because you have to know what you're dealing with, how you're paying things, and have a structure. The next step is paying off debt. If you don't have no debt, that's great. If you do have debt, Start out, in my opinion, is looking at everything, write all the list down, same as budgeting, write the list down of all your debt. Find out what has the highest interest rates and try to pay them off a little faster. So whether it be credit cards, you have medical bills and stuff like that, student loans is like big, you know. Ultimately, a lot of people go into debt and don't even have generational wealth due to student loans, you know. And the biggest thing about that is when you get debt through student loans, most of the time you won't even start making money right off in that career unless you did some apprentice program or you're just that good to what someone's hiring, you know. And majority of the time, believe it or not, people who go to college technically don't even go into the field in which they study because when they get out, they see that the pay is not worth it. They see that the position is more challenging, which they thought it would be, and so forth. And the last thing is safety. And I didn't know that if you have things in the house, you can sell, and that could be a form of savings as well. I gave the example of my table saw. Using my table saw, if I'm not using it, times are hard, I can sell that. You know, Vehicles. People still driving cars. People need cars. Tax return. Sometimes that's the best time to sell a car, but to an extent, some people got to watch out for the limits. And the biggest thing about, like I always preach, is life insurance. You know, Life insurance, easy access. 50 here, $100 here a month. And I'm gonna break it down to some people so it'll be simple math, simple, easy genius. For ladies, most of the ladies will go out and get their hair done. On average, just a wash and set, depending, $75. I think 50. I think most on average is anywhere from about 50, to $100 depending on the length of the hair. Because I know my wife when she used to get her hair done at one place because her hair was so long, she was charged more. It was a good stylist, grew her hair real long, and everything. So she was paying up there for her hair to be washed and set. That amount of money can go to a life insurance. You know, Most people, let's say you get your hair done, your hair washed every 2 weeks. Wash it yourself 1 week, uh, 1 2 weeks, and the next two go to the stylist. That $50 to $75 that you're saving, that money right there can go towards life insurance. Same thing for the fellas. There are guys who drink. Just don't buy one bottle that weekend. You know, don't go to the club. Chill at home and drink or whatever. That's the money for your life insurance. Remember, a bottle of Patron is $100. Grey Goose big bottle about $80. Hennessy $50. Big bottles normally run you about $80. VSOPs a little more. Remy, just naming all the different big drinks that everybody drink right now. Even all the way down to people call it the gut busting drinks, like the bottom shelf liquor. That right there in general, $20 for a child. Even a young adult, get life insurance for $20. Term life, $20 a month. So there's no excuse. you know. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to close this out in a few minutes. Both Go Professor's about to jump on live, but I'm gonna break this be real quick. When it comes down to it, the vehicle that creates that generational wealth is buying into real estate. You know, buy a house, stay there for a couple of years, um, go FHA, go get another house, FHA. It is not that when you buy one house, FHA, you can't do it again. You can actually buy multiple times. You just have to stay in the house for a minimum of 1 year. Once you stay in the house for a minimum of 1 year, you can then rent that house out and go get another house. And the key thing is this: a lot of people, if you're in a good area, you can actually buy a house and within a year get nice money in equity. Right now, so people are buying houses like crazy, and it's a buyer. I think it's a buyer's market. So people are buying houses like crazy, and to the point where you can easily sell your house for way more. But due to inflation, when it goes down, you're gonna upside down most of your house. Pay too much for it. It's not gonna be worth it. I would honestly say, watch yourself when making purchases within this year, because if the market so-called crashes to go out again, you got to expect it. Another one, you know, investing in the stocks, investing in the stock. Crypto is another one. Investing in crypto. There are easily lots of millionaires that have been made off of crypto right now. So that's another form right there that can, make you some good money. A lot of people have to come to the realization that you got to start putting your money somewhere to get a better gain and a better result. You know, and there are far more greater things as well. You know, from just going ahead and investing in stock, investing in crypto. You know, buying real estate. There are all types, but once again, that goes to you doing your homework. You know, NFTs are a big thing. There are other ways to invest to gain generational wealth. But the biggest thing is it starts with you. So having the knowledge, learning about this stuff is the key. A lot of people got to have an understanding. Shout out to the All-Star Advisor. Alonzo, drop your link in here as well. So just in case if somebody listening back through this, they can hit your link. I was talking about life insurance earlier. I was breaking down budgeting. I was breaking down paying off debt and using savings. And once you get those main key things to start, then you come back in and you start dealing with life insurance. You start dealing with real estate. You start dealing with stocks. You start dealing with crypto. There are multiple vehicles, but the point of it is those three key things and starting and then going from there. Saving a little bit for the next generation, putting money aside, to where if something happens, they're well off. And putting it in the savings is good, but in my opinion, if I'm gonna save some money for my kids, I'm gonna put it in a life insurance. I'm actually gonna put it in a life insurance. And we haven't even hit the main thing that talks about trust. But like I said, there's a link in the description. If you see in the title of the video, to go over there and look at that. I'm actually gonna do a reaction video to a budget that I seen someone do talking about generational wealth. So I'm actually gonna do a reaction video to that. And stay tuned. So like always, go holler at Go Professor. But like always, I say this: we here and we gone.